New improved. Redid all the wiring. Everything came out, every last thing, and rewired it up. Made some improvements to the bias circuit. That resistor there is now much smaller. I think it's a 10K. Because my bias range was way too high before, so this puts me right in the spot of -8 to -20 range with the 100K bias spot here. Relocated the filter caps over there. I added 10 ohm resistors. Sorry, 100 ohm resistors. No, alright. I know those are 250. I can't remember. On the heater pots, core heater wires to ground on either side, so that eliminated some hum there. We have chassis grounding going on with the common side of the output transformer. All the high voltage AC was redirected away, so my 120 connections are here, and high voltage to the rectifier tube. It's all kept isolated away. I ran my B plus wires all the way out and around over here to the standby. Standby is bypassed. It's got a 100K resistor on it, which allows slow trickle charging of the filter caps until so that it's not a big surge of current and a big load draw on the rectifier tube. These tubes are only good for up to 50 microfarads on the very first capacitor in the filter section, which would, in this case, I have 200 microfarad Nishikans here in series that net me 50 microfarads. So anyway, the resistor on there allows a trickle charge into it until I flip it on, which effectively shorts the resistor, allowing full current to flow through there. I was getting a lot of popping noise through the newly enhanced preamp, highly sensitive preamp section, so I had to add this. I think that's a 40 or 470 nanofarad cap on there, and it helped a lot with the popping, so that spark that happens when the switch flips gets absorbed to the capacitor and doesn't go through the preamp section. Here we have the tone system, which consequently got wired a little backwards because of the drawing. Bass, mid, treble, although all the drawings show it as mid, bass, treble, which means you have to wire it backwards. But anyway, I substituted, I think that's a 470 for, or sorry, that's a 1 nanofarad, but it was supposed to be a 250 picofarad, so I got to find a capacitor for that because the treble ain't really that effective. But anyway, this is an additional offsite storage filter cap on the B+, the second B+ tap that gives me my 300 or so volts to power the preamp tube, which is now relocated here. In case you're important, here, and then the driver tube here. And I'm going to show you two different stages where first we have a 12AX7 and a 12AU7 in the driver. That's going to be the tremolo. It's not hooked up yet, but other than that, this is my signal coming out, my push-pull inverted phase signal from the driver tube, like before, going to that. Addition of the extra volume knob. First I'll show you the gain. This knob here is actually a gain. So this comes right off of the signal from the jack to ground, and as you hear, getting a little bit of noise from the pot. That's because of the high gain factor of the 12AX7. The guitar pot sounds really bad too. So I'm working through that. The other knob here, this acts more like a volume now, because what this does is it's a 1 meg pot, wiper and side here, and it's going directly across the two grids of the output tubes. So when it's turned all the way up, there's a 1 meg load across the two grids, and that effectively cancels any of the negative or any of the positive voltage that's there, and effectively cuts the volume. Now, it's not real reactive beyond the first quarter of a turn. I have to work on that, but it does effectively control volume really well without a lot of noise, as you'll hear. So I can turn it up, and I turn all. See, I get a little bit, but there's not much more volume after that. And this actually acts as a gain. So when I turn it up, you can hear the gain come up. This is my bass, mid, and treble. Like I said, mid's the only one that really has much effect because it's the only one properly hooked up because of substituted components. But we'll get to that anyway. So I'm going to show you the 12A X7, 12A U7, and then I'll rearrange it and I'll put two 12A X7s in here. So preamp, phase inverter, and one in parallel as a driver. Now the anode load resistor on the second half of the triode is smaller, so I went with a I think 100K. Yeah, so I have 47, and I think I have a 220K there. So just to off balance that, for when I do put the 12X7 in there, the second half, which has a gain of 100 as opposed to the first half, or sorry, which has a gain of 17 as opposed to the gain of 100 on the first side, it balances it out a little better. It's not ideal, but all right. So let me prop this up, and that's a good spot. So I'll just set it here, and you can look at the scope, maybe. Or not. A shot of the cat. Yeah, this is. All right, how about the tubes? Oh, hold on, let me figure this out. All right, here we go. It's gonna have to work. So standby's off. As you see, we get some bleed through. Even with the bias, if I crank the bias all the way positive, so I'm down to like -8 volts, which means I'm running about 82 milliamps from what I gather through the output tubes. And you see it still bleeds through. Let's see if I can get that a little better. So volume's all the way down, gain's all the way down. Let's flip the standby on. Guitar volume's all the way up. I'll bring the gain up a little bit. Give it some volume. Volume all the way up. Gain about halfway up. And the split pickups right now. Back the bias off a little bit. Gain about 3/4. Neck pickup. That's what it was. So I bring my mid up and my bass all the way up and treble all the way up. Back the master gain off a little. So this is the headroom of the 12A U7. It's on the bridge pickup with the tone all the way up. I bring the master up and flip back to split, or bring the gain up. A little bit of clipping, distortion going on. The bias is all the way up there. It tightens up a bit when I back the bias off some. Turn the tone off a little bit. Back the gain off a little so it's not so overdriven. back the bias off, and you can hear how the output tubes start to oscillate and provide this tremolo. The higher negative bias voltage, the more oscillation it has. As I bring it up, it tapers off. Alright, enough of that. Let's switch over to the 12AX7. Okay, the 12AX7 is now in the driver position and the preamp phase inverter position. And I'm going to play around here as I do this. So we'll go back to 0 bias on 70% utilization. Give it a little bit of gain and some volume all the way up. Gain on a quarter. You can already start to hear the breaking up happening a little bit. I'll bring the gain up now. I have to take the bias off a bit with this, where it clips. Yeah. Turn the volume way down now. Not sure why I was doing that. It wasn't before. So now bring the gain up about 3/4 of the way. A lot of clipping. Gain all the way up, volume all the way up. I'll back the guitar up a little bit. See if we can get a little tremolo going in there too. Noise from the highly sensitive preamp. Back the gain up a little bit. capacitor that I added because it never did that before. Must be. Back the tone off so you can take it all the way down here so you lose all volume, because it is a active tone. It's in line with the 12AX7 preamp and the same 12AX7 phase inverter. So the normal coupling capacitor that junctions the output from the first triode to the grid of the second one for the phase inversion is taken out, and it's rerouted through this tone stack, which consists of 3 caps and 3 variable pots of different size, and that's what affects the tone of it by how much charging time on the capacitors based on the variable resistance. Just the high. Just the mid. And just the low. Doesn't have a whole lot of effect there. It's because I only have a 1 meg pot and it's supposed to be a 2.2, I think it said. Or sorry, a 500K is what it's supposed to have. I put a 1 meg in there. So that's probably something I have to fix. Bring a little mid. Let me back the gain off so you can hear this a little cleaner. That's probably long enough video. I'll do another one after I figure out the rest of these bugs. But I like it. I like it a lot. Got new tubes supposed to be here today, but damn you, Sweetwater and FedEx pushed it off till tomorrow. Later.